Hi everyone, in today's video I have filmed this super easy to follow, simple makeup that anyone can do. I really hope this helps you out, and if you want to hear some tips and see how I did this, then please keep watching. So I've just washed my face using a flannel and some water. This is just to remove any dirt that's on my skin because this will help give us a nicer base for our foundation. And then the first thing I'm going to do is go in with some moisturiser. This will make sure there's no dry patches on the skin, and again it gives us a nice base. And I'm just going to let that soak into my skin for a couple of minutes before I go in with my foundation. I'm also putting some lip balm on before we start the makeup. This just helps moisturise our lips, so when we finally get to lipstick, the lipstick sits on a lot nicer. I'm now going to go in with my foundation. I'm just putting some onto a damp beauty blender and then popping this onto my face and just using little tapping to blend this in. Always make sure to blend down your neck, otherwise you can get a line here. After my foundation, I'll go straight in with my concealer under the eyes and also any blemishes that you have. Just pop a little dot on. And your concealer should be 1 to 2 shades lighter than your foundation colour. I'm again just blending this in with my beauty blender using the same little dabbing motions until I am satisfied it's completely blended out. And then I like to go in with my finger on the blemishes. And then I'll quickly just dab the beauty blender on to make sure I've not missed any. After I've done my concealer, I'm going to set it straight away and also set my foundation. When I go in with my under eyes to set that, I like to use a loose powder, and I'm taking a smaller beauty blender and I just press it gently under my eyes. This is going to help prevent any creasing under the eyes. For the rest of my face, I usually take a pressed powder. Both the powders I use are translucent powders. And I just take a big fluffy brush and start pressing this into my skin. We need to make sure we are setting the foundation that we have put on our eyelids for when we go in and do our eyeshadow. And the foundation with the powder on top is just going to act as our eyeshadow base. Again, don't forget to blend down your neck. Then after I've gone in with the brush, I just like to go in to some areas using my beauty blender again. It's a good thing to note that you don't need 2 different beauty blenders for this. It's just I do. You can use the exact same beauty blender you used the first time. So now we've finished our foundation, we're going to go in with some bronzer to add some colour back into the face. If you have a contour brush looks like this is ideal because it can help mark out where we want to put our bronzer, but if not, that doesn't matter. You can just use an angle brush like so. So if you do have a contour brush, just dab a little bit on. Less is more. You can easily go back in and build it up, but once you put it on your face, it's there and it's staying there. Start by going from the top of your ear and press it and go towards your mouth. And we want to go halfway down, we're not going the whole way down. And then after we've done that, we're going to take our fluffy angle brush, again just going in with a little bit to start with, and just start pressing that in, also using motions like this to buff it in. And we're not going below that line we've made. We want to go up here as well, using little tapping motions like so. Now, if you don't have the contour brush, that's fine. What I like to do is I like to make it quite flat. And then, again, we just want to go from the top of the ear down towards the corner of our mouth. Just tapping it on really gently to mark out where we want to go. When you've marked that out, just do the same as we did on the other side. Just gently tapping that in, not going below that line we've made. We're also going to go onto the forehead. This helps give the forehead a smaller appearance. So just tap it on. Make sure you get right into your hairline with this. And I like to make sure it joins the bronzer that we've got at the side here. When you're happy with that, without adding any more onto the brush, just make sure that that is blended in by using these backwards and forwards motions. So then we've got no harsh lines with our bronzer. Now, I personally like to add a little bit onto my nose to give it a smaller appearance. So I just take a bit on the edge of my brush and just gently press it down my nose and drag it down my nose. Just do the same on the other side and then add a bit on the bottom. It is so important to make sure you just keep blending and keep blending to make sure there is no harsh lines anywhere. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of blush. Again, taking the same type of brush we had with our bronzer. So an angled fluffy brush. Just take a tiny amount of this because you can always add more, but once it's on, it's on. And I just like to smile and start pressing this into the apples of my cheeks and then dragging it backwards into that bronzer. Next, we're going to go in with some highlighter to add some shine back into the face. So you can either take a fan brush, which looks like this, or just take what looks like a big fluffy crease blending brush for when you do your eyeshadow, which is like this. So we're going to put this on the highest points of our face. First, we're going to go onto the cheekbones. So you want to do this above where you've put your bronzer and your blush. Then we're going to put some on our nose. I like to take my finger first, popping some on the tip of my nose here, also down the bridge of my nose. I'm not joining them together. I'm just making like a little exclamation mark shape. And then I'm going in with the fluffy brush just to make sure that's blended in. Again, you don't need both types of brush, but I just have them. I'm just showing you options that you can use. Lastly, we're going in to our Cupid's bow, which is the top of your lip here. Again, I like to use my finger first and back in with the brush to make sure it's blended. We're now going to do some nice simple eyeshadow. Take a nice big fluffy blending brush to start with. We're just going to start with a nice light colour. So I'm going to take this one to start with. I'm just going to start gently putting that in my crease using backwards and forwards motions. So again, just take a little bit on your brush to start with because less is more and we can just gradually build this up. Another good motion to use is circular motions. This again helps blend it out. Then going in on a similar shaped brush but quite a bit smaller than the first one, we're going to take a slightly darker brown. So I'm just taking this one here, again just taking the tiny bit to start with and tapping off that excess and just putting that a bit lower down than that first colour. Using them same backwards and forwards motions. Don't press too hard, you don't need to do that. Just use light motions and a gentle pressure. After we've put that colour on, we're going back in with that first brush that had the first colour on. We're not adding any extra onto the brush and we're just going to take little circular motions to make sure them two colours are nicely blended together. It's so important when doing your makeup to make sure everything is blended together properly. When you're happy with that, take that smaller brush again with the same colour. We're dipping back in this time and we're going to take a little bit on the outer corner of the eye, pressing that in. Once we've pressed that colour in, start using them little backwards and forwards motions on the outer part of the eye to make sure that it's blended nicely in to the colours above it. We're then going to take a really flat brush like so, and we're going to go in with a shimmery colour. So we're going to go in with this colour today. We're going to place this on the lid. Make sure to get right into that inner corner. And go right back to where we've put the brown on the outer corner. Then we're going back in with the smaller crease brush. We're not adding any more product on and we're just going to use circular motions and also little wiggling motions where the brown meets the shimmer that we've just put on to make sure it's all blended nicely together. Then finally, we're just going to take a tiny little pencil brush like so. You can see it's really quite precise. And just take in that darker brown that we used to run under our eye. Now we finished our eyeshadow, we're going to use some mascara. I personally like to curl my lashes because I have really straight lashes. Pop my lashes in there, just press down really gently to start with to make sure you've not nipped any skin, because I always do that. And then once you're sure you've got no skin in there, press down quite firmly, and I like to do this for 10 seconds. I'm then gonna take my mascara and just put a thin coat of this on. I'm making sure to put some on the bottom lashes too. I'm now going to fill in my eyebrows, so I have a pencil to use. So firstly, I'm just going to run through my eyebrows with the spoolie to make sure I've got the shape that I want. And this is just a very thin pencil. When I was a beginner, I found this is the only way I could fill in my eyebrows and them actually look good. So that's why I'm showing you this today. To start with, you just want to draw a line at the bottom using gentle strokes, then fill in a line at the top. And then we're just going to fill in our brows using little lines like this, and being extremely soft when we get to the front of the brow. I sometimes do like to just leave a portion not filled. Then I go in with the spoolie side, and that'll just help blend all that pencil together that we've just filled. And honestly, that is the easiest and quickest way to fill in your brows, and it just gives you a nice soft look. So finally, we are going to do our lips. I always like to take a lip liner first because it's a lot easier to get close to the edges without going over. So I just pull my lips tight like so and just fill in the edges. Any coloured lipstick would go well with this look, but I've chosen to use a red one today because why not? So this is my finished makeup look. I hope you found it easy to follow, and I've given you some good tips and advice so that you can become better at doing your makeup. If you like this video and it did help you, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out, and I'll see you in my next one.